Over the past few years, I have spent a lot of time studying how different countries help people prepare for retirement. I looked at pension systems in North America, Europe, Australia, and across Asia. What I discovered surprised me. While many governments struggle with aging populations, pension deficits, and retirement funding gaps, Singapore built a system that relies on something much simpler: discipline. Not discipline enforced by financial advisors, not discipline motivated by fear, but discipline built directly into the system itself. And that system is the Central Provident Fund, better known as CPF. What makes this interesting is not just how it works, but what it quietly produces over time. Because under the right conditions, this system does something most people associate only with high-income investors, hedge funds, or disciplined entrepreneurs. It builds million-dollar portfolios in the background of ordinary working lives.
Today, I want to show you how that happens. Not as theory, but as structure. How an ordinary worker can quietly build a million-dollar portfolio using CPF alone. Why the mathematics behind it is so powerful, and why many pension systems around the world fail to achieve the same outcome despite spending far more money. Before we get into the numbers, consider this. Many people spend decades searching for the perfect investment strategy. They jump from stocks to cryptocurrencies, from property speculation to trading courses. They chase returns while fighting their own emotions. Yet one of the biggest enemies of wealth creation is not a lack of investment opportunities. It is human behavior.
People panic during market crashes. They sell at the wrong time. They spend money they intended to save. They delay investing because they think they can start next year. Then next year becomes 10 years later. Behavioral economists have studied this problem for decades. Humans consistently choose short-term rewards over long-term benefits. We know saving is important. We simply struggle to do it consistently. CPF approaches this problem differently. Instead of asking people to save voluntarily, the system automates saving from the beginning of a person's working life. Contributions flow into CPF accounts every month through payroll deductions and employer contributions. The result is that saving becomes the default behavior, and defaults are incredibly powerful. When people do not need to make a decision every month, they are more likely to stay on track. This is one reason Singapore consistently ranks among the highest saving societies in the world. The system removes much of the behavioral friction that prevents wealth accumulation. Now, let's look at the mathematics. Many people underestimate the power of compounding because they focus on the amount contributed rather than the time involved. Imagine a young worker entering the workforce in their 20s. Every month, CPF contributions are deposited automatically. The ordinary account earns interest. The special account earns an even higher rate. Interest then begins earning interest. Year after year, decade after decade. The process appears slow at first. The first $100,000 often takes a long time. The second 100,000 arrives faster. The later stages become dramatically more powerful because the portfolio begins generating large amounts of growth on its own. This is the same mathematical principle that drives large endowments, pension funds, and sovereign wealth funds. The difference is that CPF applies the principle at the individual level.
Many CPF members who maintain stable careers, earn rising incomes, and contribute consistently over several decades eventually accumulate balances approaching or exceeding 1 million Singapore dollars across their CPF accounts. The exact outcome depends on salary progression, contribution history, interest earned, and housing decisions.
But the important point is that the pathway exists, not through speculation, not through extraordinary investment skill, through systematic compounding. What fascinates me most is how this compares with pension systems elsewhere. Take many pay-as-you-go pension systems around the world. In these arrangements, current workers fund current retirees. The money is not necessarily building a large personal asset base for each worker. Instead, the system depends heavily on future generations continuing to contribute. This worked reasonably well when populations were young and growing, but demographics have changed. Birth rates have fallen. People live longer. Worker-to-retiree ratios have declined. Governments across the developed world now face growing retirement obligations. Some countries have responded by increasing retirement ages. Others have increased taxes. Some have reduced benefits. The challenge is becoming more visible every year. CPF operates differently. A significant portion of retirement savings is accumulated within the individual's own accounts. This structure reduces dependence on future demographic trends. It also creates a clearer connection between contributions and retirement outcomes. When I compare Singapore's approach with many underperforming pension systems globally, one theme appears repeatedly. CPF emphasizes accumulation. Many traditional pension systems emphasize promises. Accumulation depends on actual assets. Promises depend on future conditions remaining favorable at one. And history shows that future conditions rarely unfold exactly as expected. Another important advantage often goes unnoticed. CPF is not only a retirement system. It influences financial behavior throughout life. The existence of dedicated accounts creates mental separation between spending money and long-term savings. Psychologists call this mental accounting. People treat different pools of money differently. Money set aside for retirement is often protected from impulsive decisions. Money sitting in a regular bank account is much easier to spend. By creating structure around savings, CPF encourages long-term thinking. That does not mean the system is perfect. Every system involves trade-offs. Some people would prefer greater flexibility. Others believe they could achieve higher returns through independent investing. Those debates continue. But from a behavioral perspective, the evidence is difficult to ignore. Many individuals struggle to consistently invest for 40 years. CPF effectively forces consistency. And consistency is often more important than brilliance. The CPF system reduces these risks by automating savings through mandatory contributions and structured accounts. This removes emotional decision-making and builds consistency into the system itself. As a result, wealth grows gradually through routine rather than reaction. CPF is built on automation, long time horizons, and compounding instead of speculation. The key lesson is that wealth is usually built quietly by avoiding repeated mistakes over many years.